Very good evening, everybody. Myself Shayan Banerjee, and I'm once again back with my economics video with the chapter banking. We have started a chapter banking that is there in our CBSE, and even there is in ISC as well. And here we are with the continuation part of the last day's video. Here we are with the continuation part of the last day's video, right? So we are going to start the topic, the functions of central bank. What are the different functions of central bank? We all know that the Central Bank of India is the apex banking organization of the country. Whenever we talk about the features of central bank, we must be very clear about the main feature of a central bank. We are talking about Reserve Bank of India. So what is the main feature of the central bank or the Reserve Bank of India? The first main feature is it is considered as the bank of issuing notes. The bank of issuing notes. Now, what is the bank of issuing notes? Central bank is an apex organization and that regulatory body that is having the sole autonomous authority to print money. The money printing process is done, which is also known as a seigniorage process, is done through the help of RBI or the central bank of our country. But we must keep in our head 2 points. Number one, all the smaller denominations like 1 rupee coin, like 2 rupee coin, all the smaller chillers of the coins what are in circulation are not printed by RBI. Rather, they are printed by the Finance Minister of India. The Finance Ministry of our country is responsible for its printing. Second of all the other higher denomination, all the notes except 1 rupee note, all the other higher denominations are printed by the Reserve Bank of India, RBI of our country. So money printing process is not an easy process. It is not that RBI have thought of printing money and all of a sudden RBI have taken up a decision of printing money. Printing money process, the seigniorage process, need to be understood in a very careful manner. First of all, we need to understand about the minimum reserve requirement, MRR. Minimum reserve requirement is a minimum amount of money, minimum amount of asset that RBI need to hold while starting the money printing process. And the minimum reserve requirement of our RBI is rupees 200 crore. Out of rupees 200 crore, 115 crore of gold must be kept and 85 crore of foreign securities must be kept. So 115 plus 85, altogether 200 crore of gold as well as foreign securities need to be held by RBI in order to start the money printing process in the country. If the country decides, or if RBI decides rather, to take up more amount of money printing, it can even take up more amount of gold and can even show more amount of securities to increase the amount of money they want to print. Clear? Come up to the next function of central bank. After the first function of central bank, we are coming across the second function of central bank. The second function of central bank states that it is the banker to the government. It is the banker to the government. So point number one, being a banker to the government, the entire big function banker, the so-called banker to the government function is further classified into 3 different points. Number one, our government is the one which is having an account over there with RBI. The RBI's all banking transactions through government is done through the process considered as or through the function known as a banker. So a government always keep an account open in our RBI, and whenever our RBI need to have a decision making with government, it can easily take up its own opportunities, its own possibilities to share their ideas. So not only a banker, our RBI is also considered as an advisor to the government as well. Whatever big policy making is to be undertaken, all the financial policy making are need to be undertaken in our country, all this financial decision making are being taken up by RBI, but with consideration or by the meeting held with the help of the RBI's governor, right? Let us talk an example. Let's take an example like demonetization. The bold declaration of demonetization was also been undertaken by who? By RBI. But this demonetization scheme policy was not all of a sudden undertaken by RBI. the decision has a valid point and all those reasons why it must be undertaken was suggested by the government of our country. So sometimes government is also acting as an advisor to RBI, and even RBI also act as an advisor to government. The demonetization policy was undertaken by government of our country, and who have suggested? RBI have suggested this. Clear? Completed? Third, it also acts as an agent. Our RBI also acts as an agent to the government. Whenever government is wanting to have certain meetings or certain terms with other countries, at that time having a discussion with the other countries or having some new policy making with the other countries, having a financial help to other country, which country needs a financial help, how much amount of financial help our countries are possible to provide them, all this decision making are being held through the help of RBI. RBI can help the country, RBI can help our government by telling that how much amount of help our country can do to other countries. So it is also acting as what? As an agent. Done. So being a banker of the government, RBI plays three functions. It acts directly as a banker, holding up an account. It acts as an advisor, and it also acts as an agent to government. Am I clear? So RBI acts as an agent, RBI acts as an advisor, RBI acts as a banker. To whom? To the government of a country. Understood? Coming up to the third function of RBI. The third function of RBI states that RBI is having or is considered as having a supervisory role to the banks. So the RBI is a banker's bank and also acts as a supervisory role. Now, if the board asks us to explain the banker's bank function or the supervisory role function of the RBI, what would be the answer? While telling you about the banker's bank and the supervisory role, I must say that we, the common people of our country, are the savers or the depositors who go to the commercial bank, not to the central bank. So when we go to the commercial bank to deposit our money, what relation do we have with the bank? The commercial banks are our banker, right? So commercial banks are the common people's banker. So commercial bank is known as what? Banker to the people. The same relationship as we, the common people, is having with the commercial bank, the same relationship the commercial banks are having with the Central Bank of India. The commercial banks of our country deposit some amount of money on a regular basis, on a regular interval with RBI, which later on I'll tell you the name of this deposit is cash reserve ratio. Cash reserve ratio or CRR. Whatever we common people deposit in the commercial bank, out of our deposits, a certain proportion of the total deposit is being taken by the commercial bank and is deposited to RBI. That amount of deposit is done from commercial bank to RBI. So now RBI becomes what? The banker to whom? The banker to the banks of India. That's the reason it's known as a banker to the bank or having a supervisory role. Number two, the central bank also acts as a clearing house function between the commercial banks. Like the easiest example we can say, I'm having an ATM card of Canara Bank, and having a Canara Bank's ATM card, it is quite easily accessible in the Canara Bank ATM centers. But nearby, in my house, I was not having any Canara those ATM centers. I was having rather SBI ATM counter. So I went with my Canara Bank card, ATM card, punched it, swiped it, and got the amount of cash out of it, right? Now this is done through the help of SBI. So Canara Bank ATM card is used in the ATM counter of SBI. Similarly, SBI's ATM card will be used in the ATM counter of Canara Bank. This is known as what? Clearing house function. Why? Why is it possible? As both the banks are connected with the mother bank or the Apex Bank of India, known as Central Bank or RBI. So RBI supervises all the commercial bank in the country and try to find out how to make an easy relationship or a correlation between the commercial banks so that the common people like us do not get any disturbances and have a very sophisticated and easy way of monitoring transactions in our country on a daily basis. Done? Let's now move on to another function of the central bank. The fourth function of central bank is The most important function which often a time AISSE or I must say IAC provides in the examination. It is basically, why do we consider central bank as a lender of last resort, as a lender of last resort, quote unquote lender of last resort. So these are fourth function of the government central bank. The fourth function of central bank is also known as the lender of last resort, right? I'm taking an example. Let's take an example. Let's say I went to Digha the last week, and it was nearly 11:30 night when my bus have stopped there in front of the hotel. When I stepped down from the bus, I saw many of the hotels nearby. I went and knocked to every each door. Each manager of the hotel told me that we are not having any of the room available. All these rooms were completely booked. I went from here to there, and after the whole days of hustle and bustle, after an hour of hustle and bustle, I came across one particular hotel. And that particular manager told, sir, we are having one particular room. If you want to take this particular room, you can take it. But it's a small one bedroom. A very small one bedroom. If you want to afford it, you can get it done. But you have to pay me more. Now tell me, on that particular midnight when I had to sleep a night, and or if I had to spend even a sleepless night, or even can spend a night outside the hotel, it's not possible and quite not affordable by the people like us. So what we did, or what I did, rather I have taken up that alternative option in my life, right, on that particular day. So at that particular moment of time in my life, who was the last resort that was available? That hotel, where booking I have done, right? Similarly, when the commercial banks like SBI, Canara Bank, Allahabad Bank, Punjab National Bank, when they face any financial crisis, like we face any financial crisis and we ask for a loan to a commercial bank, similarly, the commercial banks can also face a financial crisis. In the time of their financial crisis, they first of all opt where? They first of all go where? They first of all go to their head bank, their head branch. Like SBI, our Krishnanagar SBI, when we'll face a financial crisis, right? At that time, that will ahead move to where? To our Kolkata, the head branch, right? If the Kolkata bank of SBI, the Kolkata SBI bank actually refuses that particular Krishnanagar branch and tell that we are not having any amount of money to help you out, we cannot process any loan to you, at that particular time, they will finally approach where? To the Supreme. Who is the Supreme? RBI is the Supreme, right? So ultimately and finally, RBI is acting like a Brahma, giving what? Vardhan to whoever comes for the help. Whichever commercial bank comes to the help to the central bank, RBI is always acting as a lender. It lends the money, and that is the ultimate last option left to the commercial bank. That's the reason it's known as the lender of last resort. Am I clear to everybody? The answer is coming. I know the answer is coming as yes, sir. The lender of last resort. I think it is quite clear. Let's now move on to another topic. Custodian of foreign exchange. Sometimes central bank is having another function is considered as the custodian of foreign exchange. So what is the custodian of foreign exchange function? Custody. We often know and we often come across the word custody whenever we talk about the police. The theft, the robber has been kept. The thief or the robber has been kept in the custody of a police, right? So custody is the safest place from where movement is quite difficult. Custody is a place where you remain safe. So RBI or central bank is also a custody. Custody of what? Custody of foreign exchange. Custody of foreign exchange. Now what about foreign exchange? What is foreign exchange? The word exchange in economics means currency. So foreign exchange means foreign currency. According to India, what are the foreign exchange? Bangladesh Taka is also a foreign exchange for India. American dollar is also a foreign exchange for India. Australian dollar is also a foreign exchange. Euro is also foreign exchange. Pound is also foreign exchange. These are all foreign currencies. Now India is an open economy. Nowadays we are having a relationship with the other countries, a complete free trade relations with other countries. Having a free trade relation with the other countries, India is always doing some amount of export. India sells their output to abroad and even try to import from other countries. So while importing petroleum from America, I had to pay America what? American dollar. America without getting American dollar won't be giving me petrol. Now to get those American dollars, who is there responsible? RBI is responsible. So the RBI is having a biggest custody, a big place where it has stored all the different countries' currency together. RBI is having a big piggy bank that actually collects all the countries' currency together, right? Whichever country India is doing a trade, RBI actually circulate that amount of currency for that particular country and help us to buy the output, right? It is been done for the sake of the import of the country. But while if we are doing import, suppose if I want to buy an American bag from America, from any of the company from America, right? At that time, I also require what? Some amount of American dollar. So through RBI, the amount of American dollars, so through RBI, those American dollars, what I required was coming to where? Exchange bank. Where it comes? From RBI, where it comes to the exchange bank. There are different exchange banks in our country, many exchange bank. It will be your homework to tell me any one of the renowned exchange bank in my country. Don't forget to write down there in the comment box below and write down your name and your answer over there. Don't forget it. Now we are having our exchange bank. RBI is sending that particular foreign currency like American dollar to the exchange bank, and by paying our rupees, we are exchanging that amount of currency. With those particular currency, I can even go to America for a trip with American dollars in my pocket. I can easily buy different items directly from the foreign market or from the American market, right? So which one act as a custody? RBI act as a custody. Custody of what? Custody of the foreign exchange in our country. Got it? Now, the clearinghouse function is also the time given here, but I think so we have completed all the different functions and only one function is there left. There is a controller of credit. Controller of credit. The word credit here means money. The word credit have two meanings. Sometimes credit is being told as money. Sometimes credit is also used to denote loans. I want a credit from the bank. That means what? I want some loan from the bank. How much amount of the money you are going to credit me? That means what? How much amount of money you are going to give me? So sometimes credit is used for money and credit is also used for loan. RBI is that apex organization or the apex banking system of a country, a banking organization in the country that actually controls the whole money supply in the country. Of course, it is quite easy to understand. We have come across the first point that RBI is a bank issuing note of a country. Who prints money? RBI has to print money. All the money printing is done with the help of RBI, right? Now, if RBI sees that the country is in a high demand for money, the country's people are not going to the market to buy output. That means they have a currency, a deficiency in the currencies. They have deficiency of money that they're holding. They have less amount of money in their hand. So RBI need to supply more money or inject more money in the country. If RBI had to inject more money or supply more money in the country, it must have to be printing more money. That money printing decision is taken by the RBI. That's the reason the entire money supply of the country depends on whose hand? RBI's hand. Clear? On the other hand, commercial bank do not print money. Rather, commercial bank can create money. There lies the difference between the central bank and the commercial bank. Here we go, completing all the central bank functions. Hoping to get some good comments in my comment box below. Don't forget to share, subscribe and like my video. Thank you.